what's up guys? So, I figured I would do somewhat of a non-traditional discussion video. Now, I've been kind of in a weird mood lately where I've been going back and rewatching a bunch of Naruto stuff and kind of getting caught up on some of the lore. Now granted, it's Naruto, there's not a lot of lore I need to get caught up on, but it almost is baffling how much shit was put into the series that never really got fully fleshed out or had its full potential because of the pacing. I think I would still argue one of Naruto's biggest problems is that it did its time skip too early and didn't flesh out more of the ninja world. So the problem with Shippuden is that Shippuden has introduced a bunch of shit really fucking quickly, and some things get left to the wayside, which brings us to the topic of today's video. Jesus Christ. The Jinchuriki. Now, think about it. In total, there are 9 Jinchuriki. And in the manga, the only plot relevant ones, main plot relevant ones, was Gaara, B, and Naruto. Spoiler, B wasn't even relevant in towards like the middle to latter half of Naruto, which made that shit even worse. That it took us that long just to get introduced to B. And so, that's 6 Jinchuriki that were dead before they were plot relevant. Now, if you watched the anime, you had the advantage of seeing at least 2 other ones. They did a filler for Fu, and they did a filler for Ukitake, which I believe is the 6 and 7 tails. Yeah, 6 and 7 tails. So that's still, what, 5 of the 9? And even then, we don't know how canonical. Most people view those 2 as canonical, but it still doesn't give us a lot. Especially because think about it, each of these, the other 6, and well actually 7, because Gaara got captured, were all beaten and captured and killed. And there's no real story of most of those. I think the most we get are slight scenes of most of them getting beaten by. Now, if we're going to take some of the scenes we've seen so far, canonically, I believe, obviously Gaara was beaten by Deidara. Yugito was beaten by Hidan and Kakazu, who also, according to the filler, also got Fu. Yagyu, or the Mizukage, was taken, I guess, by Deidara and Tobi from what we saw in the anime. Ukitake, it was fucking Pain. Roshi, it was Kisame and Itachi. And I think, who am I missing? Oh, and Han, we never saw. Han, there is no clips whatsoever to give us any idea who even fought him. Which is weird because he's considered, from what you read about him, he was considered one of the stronger men. He was probably one of the stronger in Jinchuriki. So, let's get to today's point of the video. It's about the Jinchuriki. I wanted to do kind of a discussion of which ones you think should have died and which ones shouldn't have died. Because I feel like there's a lot of potential with all of them, to be fair. But realistically, in the story like Naruto, where the Biju being dead had to be a thing, it had to be this tug of war between the Akatsuki and the rest of the ninja world. You had to have some give and take. So I understood why a good chunk of them had to die. But I do think more died than really necessary, especially because some of them could have been expanded upon and used in the war and used just to expand the universe of Naruto. So that's today's video, is which ones do I think should have died and which ones do I think should have stayed alive. Because obviously, starting this off, B, Naruto, Gaara, that's necessary. But I think out of the 9, only 3 was alive. I think we should have still gotten maybe at the most 2 more. If I want to be greedy, 6. 6 should have been alive and 3 should have died. That's in my opinion. But I think realistically, it probably should have just been 5 alive, 4 dead. That to me would have been a good balance. To say the good guys were still getting their shit together, but it wasn't like the Akatsuki were like that far behind in their Jinchuriki counts. So that's what today's video is about. Now this does involve talking about some of the history of them, because I still want to remain, it's almost like fan fiction bullshit I'm doing here. I still want to talk about their canonical deaths and kind of integrate that into which one should be alive and which one should be dead. Now, here's some fun facts that people may not know, because, like I said, the Jinchuriki even though being such an integral part of the story, weren't really expanded upon. I mean, for God's sakes, when they had to do fillers for 2 of the 9 Jinchuriki, and the other 4 still didn't, only got like cutscenes, like small little sequences. It's kind of important. It's kind of crazy how like underplayed the Jinchuriki are in Naruto, considering how important they are. So I'm gonna try to go through them and decide which ones need to be kept. Now, technically, we're deciding between 6, which means either 2 of the 6 have to be alive. I'm gonna save 2 of the 6 because, like I said, I'm Naruto B Gaara. That's a definite. We're not changing that. Now, fun fact that I didn't know: the Cloud Village had 2 Biju. Yugito is from the Cloud Village. Now, some of you might be thinking, "Oh, that's common knowledge." Well, if you don't watch Naruto, and because the Jinchuriki weren't important, a lot of people don't fucking know that. Yugito was a part of the Cloud Village. So Yugito and B existed at the same time. How the fuck? Now, if I went back and looked more into it, I probably would see how the Cloud Village came to have 2 fucking Biju. I also had to look up information on Yugito in general just to get a general idea of her personality, since she is the Two Tails, and we are, as I said, we're skipping Gaara because Gaara has to be alive. Although that would be kind of the cop-out. They already have Gaara's Jinchuriki. I would keep Gaara's story essentially the same. Now, the little bit we did get to see was essentially Yugito trapping, quote-unquote, trapping Hidan and Kakuzu to take them down once she realized they were a part of the Akatsuki. And then the next scene we see is essentially they have beaten her within an inch of her life with fucking Hidan already in his Cursil stuff doing his fucking, what is it? Oh, what's it called? I guess it's not really a sacrifice because they couldn't kill her. But pretty much doing his main jutsu. So that's how they lost Yugito. And then obviously Sasuke quote-unquote captured B. Now, the problem with this here, the situation here is that in the manga it was mentioned that it was because of these blunders. Because they were looking for Yugito. Yugito was a very loved and respected ninja. And ironically enough, she was a damn strategist. I found that ironic considering who she was facing and who ended up facing those 2 later and beating them respectively. She was a well-respected ninja, and from what I understand, the Cloud Village was looking for her. But there was too many spaces, and they couldn't find her in time before she got essentially captured and killed. And then B got caught. Well, at least to them, they preceded him getting caught, even though we know what happened. And it became, and those were the things that made the Raikage go, fuck it, we gotta do the 5 Kage summon. We literally just lost 2 of our Jinchuriki. B wasn't dead at the time, but they didn't know that. I mean, B was alive at the time, but they didn't know that. They thought he was captured and possibly killed. So, Yugito's kind of a weird one for me, because it's like, I feel like canonically something still needs to happen to 1 or 2 of their Biju, because of the result that has on the Raikage doing the 5 Kage summit. But Yugito to me seems way, and granted she went against like the worst pair in the fucking Akatsuki. The immortal fucking pair. The one that literally cannot be killed, and the other one that has a very extended life. So that one, that's the situation with Yugito. Then you go to the 3 Tails, Yagyu, which was the Mizukage. I think he's the 3rd or 4th one. I forget which. He was the previous Mizukage before our bad bitch Mizukage that we currently have. Well, I guess not currently. I guess currently in the Naruto universe, not in the Boruto universe. In the Boruto universe, it's changed. But in the Naruto universe, she was the bad bitch Mizukage, and we love her. His story is even weirder, and I think brings up a weird plot hole with the Akatsuki. Because from what we know of him, his village had these really barbaric rituals in which they went up, and the way you became a Genin in his village is that you had to kill the other Genin. He killed the other Genin, had an incredible aptitude. He ended up becoming a Jinchuriki partially because of that, and the Mizukage. And then almost, I won't say immediately, but pretty soon afterwards, he got taken control of by the young version of the Akatsuki, which I think at that time was just Pain, Konin, or I guess Nagato, Konin, and Obito posing as Madara. So, and it's weird because it was through this whole incident of him being controlled by Obito that led into Kisame joining. So it's like, okay, but here's the kicker. They weren't the ones who captured and killed him. The ones who captured and killed him were fucking Datara and Toby, which is ironic in retrospect. But still, and we know that Datara joined later after that whole incident. So that means at some point after they got Kisame to join the Akatsuki from the whole original Yagyu stuff incident where he was being genjutsu, they released him from the genjutsu, went and grabbed Datara, and then went back to capture him. Why wouldn't you just take him then? Because pain was there. That's all you need. Pain was on when you need it for the ritual. I would assume. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that was the thing. You had to have multiple. That might. Did you have to have the entire Akatsuki there to do the capturing? I don't think that was entirely true because they had less members and they'd already caught a few of the other ones. I'm not sure. That might have been the reason why. I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. So that was his story. And from what I heard, he was not a well-liked leader, but that could have been because a lot of the things people saw from him was him being under control from the goddamn genjutsu from Obito. So it's like how he wasn't really he ended up garnering a bad reputation, but it wasn't necessarily his fault. But then again, you're the fucking Mizukage, and you got taken over by the fucking Sharingan. One of the most basic things about the Sharingan. I say this not under the impression, realizing that the fucking Sharingan is a broken ass eye in the Naruto universe. But yeah, his story is kind of fucked up too. I'm trying to remember. Four Tails, I believe, was Roshi. Yeah, Four Tails was Roshi, and the only thing we know about Roshi is that Kisame and Itachi were the ones to take him down, and that Kisame took him seriously, because even though Kisame had an element of advantage, Kisame, the motherfucker, wasn't no one to play with. Remember, he had Son Goku for a while. Like, I think he had him for like 40 years from what I read up, so he wasn't no joke, but he still got taken down. I think 5 is Han. Like I said, we know literally nothing. We don't even know who took down Han, or who's the one who captured Han. We just know that Han is gone. 6 Tail Ukitake. We're going to take the Naruto filler as canon if we want to. Essentially, he finally got his shit together and then got killed before he could really become a kind of make do on his promises by Pain. That's all we know. And then 7 Tails Fu is weird because you have the the tuning exams that made everyone else a tuning before Naruto. Like it was the middle of the time skip thing. And all we know is that Hidan and Kakazu were the ones who got her. And there's the weird debate because in the anime it's literally like, oh, I know you, Kakazu, you're the guy who stole all the hearts and became an Akatsuki member. Why don't we become friends? And they're like, I'm not here to become friends. And she's like, oh, that's too bad. And then the scene cuts off. And you're like, what? So it's implied that they're the ones who took her, but we get no real explanation of her situation. A lot from what we did learn, the manga mentions this briefly, and like I said, you wouldn't know this because of how casually it skipped over. Datara mentions during the first Shippuden arc with Gaara and everything that they'd already captured 2 Biju before even going after Gaara, and said the 2 B, and the reason why he was even brought up is because he was surprised how much Naruto even cared about saving Gaara, because the 2 Biju they had caught before, nobody came to rescue them. So we know that there were 2 pre-time skip Biju that got caught. A lot of people think this was either probably Han and probably Fu. The problem with Fu's is that the anime kind of contradicts it, because the way it's mentioned in the Datara mentions it makes it sound like the villagers didn't give a fuck about their Biju. But it's shown in the filler for Fu that she was on good terms with their head Kage, who isn't even like a main Kage. He's not like he was like a, what was it? It was the village hidden in the waterfalls, I believe. In the anime, they seemed like they were cool, so it kind of contradicts it. But a lot of people suspect it because it was pre-time skip. We knew this happened pre-time skip, or at least during. It was in the middle of the time skip. It wasn't light, so it could have been Fu. It wasn't Yugito. It could have been Yagyu too. I don't think it was, because if people were suspecting he was being controlled, I would think someone gave a shit. But I don't know. He was also, I mean, his rule was not a happy rule, so it could have easily been him. The reason why this is important, because now I have to decide which ones to keep and which ones to get rid of. In my opinion, Ukitake being dead is fine. Although I think his death is sad and it's fucked up that by the time he got the chance to really get his shit together, he died. I think Ukitake is fine being dead. I think the Mizukage being dead is fine. I'm cool with Roshi being dead. I'm cool with Roshi being dead. But now I have to decide between Fu, Yugito, and Han. The biggest issue with Han is that Han doesn't look like a motherfucker that would go down quickly. But because I don't have any information on who supposedly captured him, I don't have enough of a base to do anything with Han either way. Fu, I think, Fu to me had way more potential, because she, I think, especially based off of the filler, it was and even based off of the little bit you see of her in the manga, I think it's referenced that she's very similar to Naruto in terms of personality and style, and I think that would have worked as a cool pre-time skip, them meeting Fu, becoming cool, and kind of getting in Naruto and Fu finally having someone who's similar to her, and also a Biju can understand, and because she was also one of the only happy-go-lucky Jinchuriki. I just think I think Fu had a lot more potential for growth and character development that never fucking happened because they killed her so damn early. So that's my thing with Fu. So I would like to keep Fu alive. But then the question is, do I kill Yugito? Now, keeping Yugito alive does not take away from the fact that B got quote-unquote captured / beaten by Sasuke. So it's not like I wouldn't still have Raikage still wouldn't have a reason to go to the Hokage Summit arc. But I also think Yugito would have served as a cool female mentor to Fu. Because think about it. Octopops did that for Naruto, so it would be, to me, Yugito doing that for Fu would make a lot of sense. It'd be kind of a cool correlation. And because they already taken Gaara, they already have the Biju chakra for the One Tails, even though they didn't kill Gaara. And I think each of the Biju's deaths should represent different things, so I'm more inclined to keep Yugito and Fu alive and kill Han, Roshi, Yagyu, and Ukitake. Because it would still be a 5-4 thing, even though Gaara is alive, because Gaara doesn't have the Shikaku anymore. And the main reason why I would keep Han dead, a lot of people say, why would you kill Han? Because Han, based off of what we had seen of him, like in data book stuff, Han was not a fucking slouch. Han was a badass. But I don't want to make Datara's statement in the beginning of Shippuden's Gaara arc false. I think it should be stated that there were some Jinchuriki that just didn't give a shit because the villagers didn't give a shit about them. I think Han will be that representation. I would almost argue Roshi's thing should be something along the lines of, because I've even thought about arcs that would have shown how they died. Ukitake is fine. I'm fine with the way his arc went out, so I'm not. There's not a lot to touch with him. I think Yagu's arc would have been an interesting arc where Naruto and them met them. I think Yagyu they should have met pre-time skip. Fu pre-time skip. Han could have been post, and Roshi could have been post. I think Roshi would have been the example of the reason why he was able to survive so long is because he put himself in hiding. That man didn't associate with anybody and kept himself safe. And it's kind of the sad reality that that's how some ninja have to live. And the moment he put himself out there, because of maybe Naruto and Fu touched his heart or whatever the fuck, is the moment it got him killed. I think that's a cool correlation. Because it's tragic as hell still, but it shows that that's the danger of putting yourself out there. You're able to achieve a higher form of happiness and enjoy living, but you also increase your risk of dying. So I think that would be Roshi's kind of story. Han, I think, would be the example of a person who literally just said, fuck it. Also, I think he's from the Tsuchikage's village, and I think having him have that blunder makes sense anyway. Um, so my thought process is that Han was a strong ninja and respected, but because he was a Jinchuriki, no one gave him any time of day. And so when they came to get him, to capture and kill him, I think at that point maybe it was just. I think there should be an arc around it. Maybe like we are shown that, and maybe that's like the person that Naruto can't reach, and like pretty much it'd be the difference. It would still send Naruto into his little depression he gets through in Shippuden, where he could reach Roshi, but Roshi got killed. But maybe Naruto doesn't know he got killed. Like, he leaves the Roshi situation with them being friends and him having a sense of accomplishment, only for later on Roshi to get killed. I think that's how that should go. Han, I think literally Naruto should just fail. Like, he tries to reach Han, he can't reach Han, and when they come and get him, he just gives the fuck up. Because he doesn't give a damn. I think that is somewhat of a waste of a character, but I still want the Jinchuriki tales and endings to be tragic. Yagyu's, I think, still needs to be expanded upon, because I think Yagyu's will just be more of, he's a means to an end. Like, I would think they would visit Yagyu's, the Mizukage's village, like, pre-time skip, and that's when they would learn about how each village is different, and how some of it, and how Naruto doesn't agree with a lot of the shit they do there, but that's their way of life and shit. And that Naruto never got to meet Yagyu as like a non-mind controlled Biju. Nor did he, but maybe we'll get like a scene of him breaking out of the Genjutsu temporarily or some shit like that. Like he breaks out of it in the middle of like some arc, and then he's re-put under the Genjutsu at the end of the arc. Stuff like that. Like I said, Ukitake's is fine, and Gaara's capture is fine. So, in my opinion, the Jinchuriki who should stick around, in my opinion, should have been Gaara, Bee, Naruto, Yugito, and Fu. I think they still should have killed. I mean, and some people might disagree with that. I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with the Han and maybe Ukitake. A lot of people like Ukitake. I like Ukitake too, but that's the point. You're supposed to feel bad when they die. Han, I just think should be a representative. That's what my opinion is as far as, and that's my opinion on how they all should die, or the general story around how and why they died. Because I don't want this thing where Naruto was just always fucking right. I want it to be a situation where Naruto does a good thing, and it doesn't necessarily always work out for that individual. In Roshi's case, he gets him killed. In Han's case, he just wasn't good enough. He couldn't get to him. Kind of like a Sasuke reminder in a way. That's why I say Han's could take place before or after. Han, it doesn't really matter. But Fu, they should have met pre-time skip. Yugito could have been introduced around the same time as Killer Bee. And I would have been perfectly fine with that. And I think Asuma's death should have still happened. So it would have still gave... Actually, that's probably when you should have introduced Yugito properly without killing her. Is that Asuma and them found... They were looking for Yugito and they ran into Asuma and Shikamaru's team first. Asuma got killed. Yugito felt responsible and wanted to help him because they're both strategists. Helped. It was still a growing moment for Shikamaru, but they also had the help of another Biju to kind of help deal with the threat, right? And you can still have Naruto use his Rasen, Shuriken, and all that other shit. That's my opinion. And then later on, then she could go and help Fu train to use her Biju properly and all that other shit. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. Sorry, this might sound rambly, but I'm curious if you guys have your opinions on which Jinchuriki. If you were the ones deciding which ones died and lived, which ones would you keep? As you know, mine's are pretty much the two I would keep are the two girls. And that's part of it is my bias because I wanted some female Jinchuriki in general, but the other is because I think those are the two that should stay alive. I understand that's putting a dumb situation on Raikage having two fucking Bijus be alive. I understand that. But I think as a whole, I think that's where I would land in it. And some of you may have killed more. Some of you may have killed B and Gaara. You think Gaara should have stayed dead. But y'all can put that in the comment section below. This is a fun topic. I hope you guys got some kick out of it. So thank you guys for watching. And remember, You're not having any fun if you're not just a little bit crazy. Ha 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 ha. Peace off.